You are listening to the Keep the Weight Off podcast with Dr. Angela, episode number 71.
Welcome to the Keep the Weight Off podcast, where we bust all the dieting myths and discover not just how to lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. We go way beyond the food, and we use science and psychology to give you strategies that work. And now your host, Dr. Angela Zechmann.
Hey, and welcome to this week's podcast. Hey, Marchelle, how are things going with you this week?
They're going okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yay. Well, today I wanted to talk about some specifics about the weight loss journey that I've hinted at in other podcasts, but I've never really sort of presented it in this concise of a way before. And I think this is great timing because a few weeks ago, we heard from Dr. Angie Golden about the top 10 obesity myths. And then last week, we talked about how processed food is actually an addictive drug. And then what I have to say today is going to follow along with all of this really nicely. In case you're ready?
I'm ready.
So I'm going to combine all of this information and help you, our listener, get the big picture and actually a more profound picture on weight loss. And by the way, I just want to say, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while and you're getting some value from it, would you consider going to iTunes and rating and reviewing the podcast for us? Wouldn't that be great, Marchelle, if we had like a whole bunch of people just go right now and just rate and review the podcast? It takes almost no time, and more ratings and reviews means more other people can find us and can get a hold of this valuable information. And I do think that we have information on this podcast that isn't really talked about in other weight loss programs and other weight loss circles. It's really valuable information. So please, please, please go rate and review as soon as you're done listening today. Okay, so that's my request. All right, so I titled this podcast, Why the Weight Loss Journey is So Profound. And if you've been listening to me for a while now, you may have heard me say that the weight loss journey done well is a journey of profound personal evolution. I say this frequently, and I think it's a pretty big statement, and I want to explain what I mean when I say that. So the weight loss journey, when done well, goes in stages. So we watch people go through these stages all day, every day. And I've personally been a witness to this for nearly 15 years now. And Marchelle, you've been doing this for how long now? Like 4 or 5?
4 years. Well, I mean, I've been actually doing this my whole life.
As a witness, though, to helping other people.
Helping other people. I've done it for 4 years.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Now, when I say the weight loss journey, when done well, goes in stages, there are 2 words in there that I really want to point out because I use them very specifically. And those 2 words are done well. Okay.
I know. I was kind of wondering what you meant by that. So.
Yeah. Because I said the weight loss journey done well is a journey of profound personal evolution. So what do I mean? Well, what's the opposite of done well? It would be done poorly, or perhaps more accurately, done ineffectively. So what is a weight loss journey done ineffectively? Can you take a guess, Marchelle? What would be a weight?
Yeah, ineffectively means that you are dieting.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. Going on a diet. So the weight loss journey done ineffectively isn't really a journey at all. It's someone who decides they hate their body and they need to lose weight. So they join the latest, greatest diet plan, whether it's some sort of crazy new supplement, or maybe Ideal Protein, or Weight Watchers, or actually it's called WW now, the new name for Weight Watchers, WW. Or maybe it's Jenny Craig meals, or a keto diet, or something else that's short-term and frankly a little bit extreme and a little bit crazy. And sometimes it's what I call dieting for a deadline. So maybe you're getting married, or you're the mother of the bride or the groom, or you've got an event or a trip coming up and you want to look good for that event. So it's short
term. Yeah, short term.
It's short-term deprivation for the sake of weight loss. And this is what I mean by the weight loss journey done ineffectively. It's not really a journey at all. It's just something that you're doing short term. Okay. So I want to talk about the weight loss journey done well, because this journey goes in stages. And completing these stages takes time, sometimes years. But you can be doing several stages at the same time. But I've noticed that if people start a weight loss journey without realizing what really needs to happen, they won't be successful. And we're all about keeping the weight off around here, right? This is called the Keep the Weight Off podcast. So I want each of our listeners to know exactly what it takes to do this weight loss journey well, because it truly is a journey of powerful personal evolution. And it's going to serve you in every other area of your life. And it's going to make a huge difference, and it's going to transform your life completely. So what are the stages of the weight loss journey done well? I've discovered 4 of them. And the first stage is what I call metabolic mastery. So this is the stage of actual weight loss. The first part of this stage is typically a decision that someone makes to do whatever it takes to lose weight. And most people entering this stage have no idea that they're actually suffering from a disease called obesity. They just know that they're very, very uncomfortable. Their bodies feel heavy. Their joints hurt. They have indigestion. They don't sleep well. And they often feel like they're walking around in a fog. And they have these crazy cravings, and they feel like their eating is totally out of control. And they don't know why. And they've been on diets before, and they've lost weight. And they know they feel better when they're eating whole foods and carrying around less weight, but they really have no idea that they have a profoundly deranged metabolism and that their body's not functioning properly because of this disease called obesity. Okay? And usually people at this stage are beating themselves up big time. So getting obesity under control is really, really fun for us. I just love teaching people about their bodies and how they work and how the body responds to different types of foods and how to understand insulin and diabetes and prediabetes and how to get off sugar and flour products and what to expect during that initial detox phase. This is pure joy for me to get to support people through this initial process of reclaiming their health and getting their metabolism retuned and watching them experience all the joy of having a well-oiled machine for a body. Okay. Is that making sense?
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I did it.
Yeah.
And I felt so good. But
Yeah.
I think also it's important to point out that, weight loss journey done well doesn't mean done perfectly. It doesn't mean that you all of a sudden are cured and you do everything right forever. And, and everything is fine and everything is rainbows from here on out. It's, it's for me, it's never giving up.
Yes,
because
exactly.
Because the struggle never goes away. I mean, there's never been a time when I can say, okay, I'm doing everything right and I feel like I'm cured.
Yeah.
I always feel like it's a daily struggle. It's a daily fight.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes don't make the right decisions, even now, even though I've been doing this for 4 years with you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'd have to say, like right now, especially in my personal journey, I'm struggling because it's like probably the first time in 4 years that I've gained weight. And so it gave me this whole new perspective of that, this isn't a journey done perfectly. It's just that I know that I can't ever give up on myself. Right. Even if I feel like giving up.
Right. Exactly.
Because sometimes I just feel like giving up, especially when the scale starts to go up and then I start really the negative. I mean, that's why this is so complex because it's not just about eating what you're eating. There's so much more to it. And if you don't get your brain right and you don't get the tools to get through the hard times, then it's easy to give up. And I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I've seen patients come and go where they get to their goal weight and then we see them again in a year and they say, man, I wish I would not have stopped coming because I thought that I was okay. I thought that I was good. I had it all under control. I got to where I wanted to be. And because it's still this diet mentality that we always have, like, we're going to get to this goal and then everything's going to be fine. And it doesn't work like that. And I'm kind of learning that the hard way right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, obesity is a disease. And so it's a disease of the metabolism. And so that's why I call it metabolic mastery. Getting obesity under control is the first stage. But if you want to be successful at keeping the weight off, there's a few more stages to master. And that's kind of what you're talking about. Definitely. There's a few more stages to master. And so, and the reason that people struggle so much is because, first of all, they don't understand that they're dealing with a chronic disease, a chronic relapsing disease. And the second of all, they're so used to dieting and they're so used to doing something for a little while and they don't realize all the other stages that have to occur. Okay.
I feel like that's probably what happened to me is that I became really committed. And then, I was listening to Journey Beyond Weight Loss and, doing the...
Which is now called...
which
is now called Empowered Weight Loss. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So so I was doing this back, when it was still called Journey Beyond Weight Loss. And when I was really committed and I was accountable, then I was successful. And then I got to a place where I got to my goal weight. I guess I would say that once I started backing off on some of my commitments, then I started isolating, and for me, when I isolate, it's really easy for me to mess up because I know that nobody's really watching or seeing, or I'm not working on myself.
So the next stage is really honing in on the new habits that need to be developed. So in order to keep this disease under control, it's important to develop a whole new way of living your life and to develop habits that support you rather than sabotage you. So in our membership, I encourage all of our empowered weight loss students to develop a real structure to their lives. So a structured morning routine, a structured evening routine, a meditation practice, a consistent sleep schedule, and of course, meal preparation and exercise habits. So what you do on a daily basis is what brings about your profound results. And developing and honing these habits is a skill that you practice over time. And so this is profound change, but it doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a period of time. Is that making sense, Marchelle?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you got your metabolic mastery where you're using medications and nutrition to rebalance and exercise to a certain extent to rebalance your body's metabolism and getting it humming. And then you're really learning about developing habits that are going to support you. The next stage is what I call emotional mastery. And this is seriously profound work that we're doing. It's learning how to sit with yourself and allow yourself to experience your negative emotions without eating or drinking or using any other buffer for that matter. And we've talked about this in previous podcasts as well, how easy it is to just eat instead of feel our restlessness or our anxiety or whatever it is that we're feeling. And I've been noticing recently this sort of gnawing, anxious feeling has been coming up for me a lot. And it took me a while of really sitting with it before I could truly identify it. And when I finally did identify it, I realized it was a feeling of insecurity, like not secure. And as I've been kindly and gently exploring with myself what's going on, I've been working at listening to the part of me that's feeling this. I'm not shutting myself down. I'm listening. And this is not easy to do. I totally get it. But this is also part of the profound work of lasting weight loss, is really getting to allow ourselves to know and understand our emotions and to sit with ourselves long enough to discover what's really going on. Right? Is that making sense, Marchelle?
Yeah, yes, definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
That's where I kind of think
I
landed, is that in the beginning, you're really motivated and you're really structured and everything is sort of laid out for you at first. And then I think after a period of time, after a year or 2 years, things start to come up that maybe you didn't know was there.
Yeah.
And then it's easy to resort back to old behaviors. And then, of course, it's that, it's the shame and the guilt. And it's especially hard when you feel like you should have known better.
Ooh, so that thought, I should have known better, can be a really a thought that really creates. We talk about I teach a technique called the model, or a tool called the model, in empowered weight loss, and so we learn how our thoughts can really cause us a lot of pain if we allow ourselves to think them. So yeah, a lot of people have that thought, I should have known better. Another thought that can be really painful for people is, I should be further along by now. I should be further along. That's another thought. So yeah, so we work with all of these as we are really helping people understand what are some of the profound shifts that are going to? As you do the weight loss journey well. So cool. The last stage of weight loss is what happens as you're learning to maintain your weight loss. And this can take several years, frankly. And what it is it's a profound shift in your identity. So what do I mean by identity? I mean the thoughts that you think about yourself and who you are in the world. And it's more than just no longer identifying as someone who's overweight, because that's an obvious shift in identity that will happen as you lose weight. You no longer identify as someone who's overweight. But it's also developing the identity of someone who is lovable and who has talents and gifts to give the world and who's worthy of being seen and heard. It's a real journey into self-love, this last stage. Because when you truly love yourself, you take care of yourself, and you don't really care all that much about other people's opinions because you realize that they have no idea what's true for you. They can only make comments about you based on their own experience. So you kind of get to a point where you look at other people's comments with interest, but not with self-judgment. And you also get to recognize that you're a human being. And as a human being, you're going to make mistakes. And so you get to make mistakes. And you don't beat yourself up about your mistakes. You just correct them and then you move on. This is profound. This is truly profound. And this shift, when done well, will be a lasting shift that is going to serve you in all of your relationships. It'll serve you in your career. It's going to serve you in every aspect of your life. It takes time and it takes patience learning how to love yourself.
I feel like this is the hardest part, is the last stage. Because I feel like when you start your journey, you're really diligent, like you have a goal. Yeah. And you're going to get there, right? Yeah. And then what happened with me in particular is like when I got to that place, then maintaining it. And then this is what the podcast is all about, right?
Keep the weight off.
It's not it's not called getting the weight off.
It's called keeping the weight off. Yeah.
This is why we do this, is because the hardest part is once you get there, then what shifted for me is now what? I mean, I got there and now who am I?
Yes. Yeah. And then, who am I?
Because then there's just like this daily thing that you're living. And I mean, and I didn't feel motivated anymore because I'd gotten where I wanted to be. And then once I got there, I started to tell myself, well, I look good. I can have a donut. I can have, that hamburger. Even if I gained 5 pounds, I'd be okay because I know how to get it back off. And once I started that way of thinking, I couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
And then I started to gain weight back and start to feel crappy and started to feel bad about myself. And so that's why I just feel like once I got to the last stage, I started to backtrack. And it's not, and not just me. I hear that from our patients a lot too. Is like I say, they're so motivated at first, and they get to this place where they feel like they're successful and they got everything under control, and then they disappear.
And what's happening is, let me explain it, because our brain's pleasure center, or our, the addiction center or whatever, is always looking for an excuse to get that hit of dopamine. So what you described is, you're like, okay, like, I look great, I can have a donut. And so you get that hit of dopamine, and it's like, okay, once you get that hit of dopamine, then starts that whole cycle of addiction again, where you need more and you need more and you need more. And then you start noticing, oh my gosh, I'm putting weight on. But then you tell yourself, oh, okay, well, I could get 5 pounds off. I did it before. 5 pounds is, I have this, this leeway here. And so your brain is just constantly trying to get you to get back into that addictive substance again, right? And then you end up in self-judgment because you're starting to notice that you're not feeling as good anymore. You're not choosing the foods that you were, that are going to be healthy for you. You start to notice that your body doesn't feel the same anymore. And then your brain starts to hit you with shame. This is really common.
Right. Well, I think what was missing was that I didn't change my identity. Like I got to my goal, and I feel like a lot of our patients, we get to our goal, but when you don't really work on changing your identity, that old behavior is so easy to go back to because it's just so familiar. And so when I got to that last stage, I just felt like I was coasting, like, I have some leeway. Like, I get on the scale every day, which I'm not supposed to do. But at that point, I started getting on the scale every day because it was like another dopamine hit. I'm like, I'm still 149, and then I was, eating that donut every once in a while, and I'd get on the scale and I'd still be 149. So at that point, I started to see what I could get away with. And then I wasn't even focusing on my identity anymore. It was like I was feeding that addiction again. And not really realizing it, because if I could just keep it at bay, I could sort of do what I wanted, and I could still keep the weight off. And that's just not how this works. Anybody who's listening to this, I've played all the tricks. I've done all the things that people do, to lie to themselves. But if you don't really actually work on changing your identity, then it's not going to last. It just doesn't. It's not going to last. Doesn't last. Yeah. No, it's still a diet. That means that you're still dieting. Like I feel like I just dieted for 4 years and thought that I had everything under control, but I didn't really do the work. Yeah. And that's what I feel was missing. And that's why I have gone in the other direction. So I guess it's important to...
It's important to
do the work.
It's important to, you are doing the work because you're here. And it's like really, really getting to some of those deeper understandings of how we see ourselves in the world and what makes us tick and what exactly are these emotions that we're feeling. It's so profound. It is just, and the other thing is it never ends. It never ends. It's like this journey that is profound and it never ends, but it just gets better and better and better and better. The more you discover about yourself and the more you're setting boundaries and the more you're learning to love yourself, it just gets better and better and better and better and better all the time. But you're never done.
You're never done. And I just feel
keep the weight off is never a done deal.
Yeah.
You just don't ever give up. So that's awesome. That is awesome. So I want each of our listeners to know that this weight loss journey, when started with the right understanding and with the right mindset, can be the most awesome journey of your entire life. Because you learn so much about yourself that you can apply to every other area of your life. It really is like this transformation that occurs from the inside out. So it's like you're transforming yourself on the inside, and then that's what gets reflected on the outside, as opposed to just having this outer transformation without a corresponding inner transformation, right?
Right. That's the difference between doing a diet and just changing on the outside. And it's so easy to fool yourself, though.
It is.
I feel like I fooled myself for a while, and I still was in the diet mentality, and I don't know. Our brains are very, very tricky.
Our brains are very interesting. Well, I also want our listeners to know that the research clearly shows that you're going to be much more successful if you do this in the context of a community. So you have a community of people that you can be accountable to and that you can get support from and that you can support in return. So many of us who struggle with this disease tend to isolate ourselves. We just do.
Isolation is the enemy. Don't do it.
Yeah. We isolate, we hold ourselves back, we don't participate. But I want you to know that participation is a huge key in losing weight and keeping it off. Okay. So for our listeners who are ready, I'd like to invite you to get started with us. Okay. We're in the process of doing a 4-day Quit Sugar Kickoff Challenge right now. And I'd like to invite you to join us. It's going on this week. And it's the first step of the metabolic mastery process. You can easily catch up on anything you might have missed because it's all recorded. And in the kickoff challenge, you're learning about what processed food does to the body and the brain. And you're learning what to expect as you go through sugar detox. And then if you want more support, you can join us in the Done with Dieting Bootcamp, which is the first month of the Empowered Weight Loss membership. So if you're ready to join us in the challenge, just go to JourneyBeyondWeightLoss.com/challenge to sign up. All right. Anything else that you wanted to say, Marchelle?
No, I just wanted to tell everybody to meet me there.
Yeah, there we go. All right, everyone. Remember the 4 stages of weight mastery. We're going to master your metabolism. We're going to develop habits that serve you. We're going to help you understand and really get to know your emotional life. And then we're going to help you to develop a new empowered identity filled with respect and self-love. It's a profound transformative journey that will serve you in all areas of your life. So if you're ready for the first step, join us in the Kick Sugar Kickoff Challenge happening this week. Take care, everyone, and have a great week. And we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off for good, your next step is to sign up for Dr. Angela's free weight loss course, where you're going to learn everything you need to get started on your weight loss journey the right way. Just head over to JourneyBeyondWeightLoss.com/free course to sign up. Also, it would be awesome if you could take a few moments and write a review on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you in Journey Beyond Weight Loss.